I know you know that sinking feeling when you feel like you've just crushed a coaching session. The client comes back the next session and they've done literally nothing that you've talked about. They said they wanted the transformation. They even paid for it, but they're not doing the thing. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about why your coaching isn't sticking, and definitely stick around because I'm going to share the one thing that changes everything in your coaching that's going to help your client get better results. Welcome to the podcast. And before we dive in, I want to invite you to an exclusive opportunity, a brand new workshop that I am hosting coming up on July 29th at 10 a.m. Arizona time called Why Your Coaching Isn't Selling. And I'm going to be giving you a 30-minute fix that changes everything. So if you feel like your client roster should be more full than it is, if you know you're amazing, you are an expert at what you do, you can totally transform lives, and you would like a faster, better way to get clients and to figure out where the gap is, why you feel like you're delivering all the things, spinning your wheels, and it's just not showing up as clients that are filling your client roster, then I would love for you to join me. Inside the workshop, I'm going to be sharing the common mistakes that I see coaches making that are stopping them from selling coaching or selling coaching effectively. And I'm also going to be sharing with you that one big change, actually, it's a small tweak, you're probably closer than you even know, that is going to shift from going from this kind of quiet roster to being more in demand, like I know you are capable of. So I hope you come join me for this brand new training that I'm excited to share with you, July 29th at 10 a.m. Arizona time. You can sign up at amanda-walker.com/get clients. And as soon as you sign up, you're going to even get like how to prepare for this workshop so you can get the most out of it and be ready to get more clients. Welcome to the Best Damn Coach podcast. I hope you guys are enjoying summer. I know I am loving the sunshine. It's getting real hot up in here, and I'm excited to be with you today. One time a month, if you haven't noticed this pattern, I really try to dive into coaching mastery, because part of being the best damn coach isn't just making money, right? It's not just the strategy side of things. It's actually honing in on your coaching skills. I want to share this really cool story, a really cool opportunity that kind of fell in my lap because I leaned into my passion of mastery. Um, without saying too much, it's up and coming, but I have the opportunity to work with a really well-known fitness club chain. And it all stemmed from actually what I'm going to start now, because how many people have a gym membership? They come in, they take the class, they do the training, they lift the weights, they do the cardio. And when they leave, the intention and the implications of why they were there just don't stick. And there are some reasons this can happen. This definitely isn't a one-size-fits-all approach, but I'm super pumped about guiding this particular club in what I would call the softer skills of personal training and group fitness coaching. And today we're diving into that together as well. Today we're going to hit one really important thing: why your coaching isn't sticking, and the one thing that I believe will change that for you when you lean into it more intently. And so I'm going to update you on how the story unfolds with the community I'm going to be helping. But it's just an example of, you never know where you're going to coaching and your zone of genius is going to take you, and to be open to all things and be obedient to things that are put on your heart, because I definitely learned that lesson. But I've definitely been in coaching situations where I have this amazing session with a client. We lay out the strategy and they go out and they don't do the thing. The behavior change, the adherence just isn't sticking. Nothing has changed since the last time we come back together. And I could see this happening in my earlier sessions. In fact, this is truthfully why I transitioned from exclusive nutritional coaching, because I realized in the beginning, like I was giving them the stuff. Here's your macros. Here's your habits. Go do it. And then they come back and be like, I didn't do jack crap. Like, I don't understand. And so this is what kind of propelled me into life coaching, behavior adherence, studying coaching mastery, filling my toolbox with modalities that can really serve this. And I've now, studied thousands of clients and worked with coaches. And I think this conversation is really going to help you increase your results as you work with clients, because it doesn't matter if you're a health coach, a nervous system coach, a business coach, a social media coach, consultant, is if we don't do what I'm going to share here, then all this time is going to be wasted. In fact, this is where I see people struggle the most, and they actually don't want to wear the title of coach. They're like, I just want to show up, tell them what to do, and then like it's on them. I'm like, yeah, and like that's not where people need help. Like, I get that you don't want to be responsible, but at the same time, this is the role where people need the greatest support, proximity, accountability, and implementation. And I know that not everyone's cut out for this, but I also kind of feel like that's like a little bit of a cop out. Like, we do want to support people, and not everybody's cut out for implementation, but I love it. And I think that you can be better at this as well. And so for just a moment, I think you felt this, like that sinking feeling when client comes back to your session and they haven't done the work. You feel frustrated. They said they wanted the transformation. They said they want the thing. They even paid for it. But somehow between your session and their life, everything seemed to fall apart. And what this does, I think sometimes, is it sends us down the rabbit hole. Like, am I a good coach? Am I equipped? Did I do my job? Should I have given them different homework? Like, what should have happened? And so here's where I want to kind of dive in to understanding the brain and where we are. So this is kind of the behind the scenes stuckness. I've mentioned this on episodes before. And also, I think it's worth a refresher too, is that your brain is your brain, the anatomy, the physical brain, but inside it is your mind. Your conscious mind makes up about 10% of your brain. This is the mental processing side. This is the part that says, yes, I want to lose weight. I want to post on social media. I want to build a business. I want to stop yelling at my kids. We call it the goal seeker. It's the part that's responsible for conscious things, me talking, moving my hands, drinking my water, doing the workout. But your unconscious mind, that is the other 90%. And that 90% is running programs based on past experiences, fears, comfort zones, beliefs, ingrained patterns. And it is the unconscious, also responsible for the unconscious stuff, the blood pumping through your veins, your respiration. But it is also the goal seeker. So 10% is the goal setter, 90% is the goal seeker. And this is the part that could be potentially quietly sabotaging you or your client, if there is not alignment between what we say we want and unconsciously what we think we want. And in between these things are what are called the critical wedge. So this is like imagine if it's really thick, then the gap between the goal seeker and the setter is big. Our job as the coach is to actually thin this critical wedge, remove this critical wedge if possible, so that there's complete alignment between what they say they want and unconsciously what they're doing to make it happen. And most coaches, here's the thing, and I believe, is that most coaches are only speaking to that 10%. And we're giving them the strategies to what the goal setter wants, but we're ignoring the goalkeeper, the fulfiller of the activities. And that's not a problem. It's just that once you know better, you can do better. And depending on how you've been trained, you may not have known this. That's why if you come into my world, we will rock it and we will support this part. And this is why my clients tend to have great success, is because I know this and I coach this. So why isn't your coaching sticking? So I want to actually call out 4 reasons that I think your coaching could maybe not be sticking for your client. And remember, there is no rules. There are no truths here. For every client is different, but I think there's going to be some truth for you. At least one of these or all of these things are happening. And it's just an opportunity. I want you to be curious. I want you to be open-minded. The best coaches are flexible. They hear things, they get better. They're open to multiple modalities, because there isn't just one tool for every person. Every person might need something different. So mistake number 1 really comes at the beginning or throughout the session, is you're giving them like a strategy dump. You're giving them all the what, go do this, go do this, go do this. But you're ignoring the why not opportunities. You're loading them up with tactics without addressing the internal blocks. And what you're assuming is just like these logical tactics. Go post, go track your macros, go sit down and play with your kids. Those are going to override the emotional resistance that will come along in the process, which, as we know, isn't the case. It's like we all know what to do with food. Why is it that like the health industry is so big? It's because of the emotional resistance that exists. Mistake number 2 is that you're falling into this cheerleader trap. You're just motivating them instead of investigating what's really stopping them. You're like, you can do it. Go, go. Instead of asking, but what's making you feel like you can't, or what's stopping you? And it's just kind of surface level encouragement when they maybe need like deep level detective work. You may not be equipped for it in your brain, but I promise you are with just a few key tweaks. Mistake number 3 is that it's just like a one size fits all assignment. You're giving everyone the same homework regardless of how they respond. So the person that comes to you, and it's kind of like, give a great example here. If 2 people are going to train for a marathon and one person has run multiple half marathons and one person's never run a 5K, we are not going to give them both the same assignment. Their training plans are going to look entirely different. And so you have to account for that and their unique resistant patterns. The person who's run multiple half marathons probably thinks that running a full marathon is much more possible for them. They know how to fit the training into their life. The person who's never run a 5K is probably going to be like, I don't know if I can do this. And they're going to have higher resistance and they're going to need different strategies and tactics from you and deeper internal shifting. And here's a kicker. This is the mind-blowing part, is you're also expecting them to execute like you execute. This happens all the time for my coaches. So for me personally, when I buy into coaching or when I opt in for a program and I've spent the money, you bet your bottom dollar I am showing up to every call and taking advantage of every opportunity. But that is not how all clients react. Everybody has a different personality. They operate different in the world. And so we cannot hold our expectations of ourselves on them. And so it's not a one size fits all. And fourth, one of the other mistakes that you could be making is what I call like the ghost coach. You're coaching them in a session and then disappearing until the next week. There's no support in the actual resistance when they're out implementing, and you're leaving their unconscious mind to do what it wants for 167 hours between sessions. You only get them 1 hour a week, or once every other week. There's a whole lot of life that happens. This is where I think that coaching has a leg up over traditional therapy, is we actually have the opportunity through things like WhatsApp, Voxer, email support, or maybe Facebook communities to actually encourage them and keep them going in between if you choose to allow that into your container. I think that's where the real brilliance of coaching can come in. And so maybe you're feeling all 4 of those. Maybe one of them speaks to you. And again, these are maybe kind of like execution killers where they're not actually going out and doing the thing. But I just want you to be aware of these mistakes and give you an opportunity to really think about your coaching and how you might show up differently. And so what I want to hit on, though, is what I promised at the beginning. The one thing that I think will change everything in your coaching so that things stick more. And here's, like, if you're taking notes or you have something, like, this is what I want you to really think about is stop coaching the goal and start coaching the resistance. I'm going to say that again. Stop coaching the goal and start coaching the resistance. Here is what I mean by that. Instead of spending your entire session on just like strategy alone, the first part, you're investigating what's going on. This is why in all of my, in my framework for a coaching session, this is why the first part, the brain dump, is critical, because it shows you exactly what they've been doing, exactly what they've not been doing. And sometimes in our brain, if we're already in the session thinking about what they're doing next and the next step, this is why we have a framework in the back. It kind of shows you where we're going to go. But what I'm listening for is where is the resistance showing up for them? So how this actually works is, if I'm coaching someone and I might say, okay, let's just say the goal is social media posting, because that feels probably relevant for many of you. And so we say like, okay, so we know the goal is that you want to post 3 times a week. But before we like kind of move into that, I'd really love to explore from your perspective what's currently getting in your way of posting 3 times a week. So when you sit down to write that post, and you start, like, what happens? What thoughts are coming up in your mind? When you think about hitting post here, what's happening in your body? Like, what stories happening in your brain? Instead of being like, okay, I want you to do this, I want you to do this, right? Already I'm like trying to get into her brain of where is the resistance for the thing she told me she actually wants to go, right? So what's going to happen then is she's going to share with me, well, hey, could be something like, I'm afraid people are going to judge me. I'm afraid there's going to be a troll that shows up. I'm afraid that I'm going to say something and people are going to think it's wrong and they're going to have another opinion that they think is more right. So what we're now doing is like, here's what's really holding her back. I can give her all the strategy, all the content billers. I could even sit on a call and write her content with her. But if she thinks somebody's going to troll her and she's doubting her expertise, then she's going to take that and it's still going to sit in her Google Docs and not be on her social media. So then what we can do is begin to remove that critical wedge, right? We've already identified. You say you want this, unconsciously, here's what's stopping you. So now we can start asking like the golden questions, like, okay, what's the worst thing that could happen if you actually did post this? If you actually did go to the gym and lift the weights and you're new? What could happen if you actually, instead of yelling at your kids, you just went into the bathroom for 30 seconds and regrouped, right? Or what would have to be true for this to feel easy for you? Right? What would have to happen in your environment and in your mind? Or what would happen in your mind if you actually did it? If you actually went out and did the post? Like, what would your inner voice and monologue actually say? Right? So what you're trying to do is future pace them into possibility. We've identified, okay, here's the thing on the inside, but what is actually happening? And so where can we go it? So now we can think of building this connection and this bridge. So once you identify the resistance, you can figure out how to get over it. If they're afraid of judgment by creating a post, right? And what they told me they need for this to be true is like a clear content strategy, or they need someone like accountability partner, or they are trying to be perfectionists. And we identify like what is perfection. What we're trying to do is walk through that, over that resistance, so that we can connect the dots to effective implementation. So if you're not doing this with your client, then this time is beautiful together and they're not going out and executing. And this is where then they don't get the results that you hoped for, and where you become, you kind of go in that spiral and doubt your abilities as a coach. But here is where I think we kind of get stuck is, or most coaches stop, is we have identified the resistance, or we know the goal, we know the resistance, we've even built the bridge, and then you send them off into the world alone. But I think the coaches that really get next level support are the ones that are also there in the downtime, the real time. This is why when you join the Best Damn Coach right now, the bonus I'm offering you is 60 days of Voxer support. So that when you come into my community and you are on fire and you are ready to go, guess who's there with you? Me. And I love it too, because I get to know all my new community members. So in real time, if you're ready to pitch yourself to a podcast and you're afraid to be rejected, guess what? I can coach you through it in the gaps. So I love Voxer for this. So these are like practical ways you could support in between after you send them off into the real world. I've used Voxer for years. You could do text check-ins if you like texting. I just prefer to keep clients separate from my personal communications. You could do like implementation kind of intensives where you're not coaching them, you're just sitting with them in real time. You could also set them up with an accountability partner to do this themselves. You could create accountability through check-ins like a type form. You could use WhatsApp. You could use email coaching. There's so many ways that you can do this. Another way I like to do it sometimes is if there's an important check-in or they're going to go out and take some specific action, I will create automated email check-ins where I've said, okay, in 48 hours, I'm going to send an email to check in on this thing. And I can do it right then and there and schedule it in my Gmail so that I know there is a check-in that is going to happen for them. And here's the cool thing. This has a ripple effect. When you master this and when your clients actually do the things you coach them on, everything changes. They get results, faster results. They become your biggest cheerleaders because they're like, oh my gosh, she gets me. She sees this actually worked. And clients who implement be clients who renew, clients who refer, and clients who rave about you when you're not in the room. And that to me is the most fundamental way to grow a business, the most effective way, the cheapest way. And it's not about being the smartest coach. It's about being the coach who listens and being the coach that understands coaching the goal is great, but coaching the resistance is better. So this is why I'm always asking questions. So if you're thinking, oh my gosh, Amanda, this is exactly what's happening in my coaching. My clients keep saying that, or maybe this is happening for you. You didn't become a coach, I think, to watch people stay stuck. You became a coach to facilitate the real results. And sometimes you just aren't equipped with the strategies that you don't know. This isn't being taught in certifications. And it's way different when you go out and actually coach real life humans. These are the areas where we need support in the gaps. And this is exactly the work we do inside the BDC. We don't just make you better at marketing or strategy, because I know that that is important stuff, but you're actually going to struggle when you go out and do it. So it's cool because it's like meta. I'm coaching you in the way that I believe you're going to be more effective in coaching your clients. And so I am here to dive into resistance with you, but also support you to coach your clients better through their resistance as well. So if you want to learn more about the BDC and you just want to talk to me and figure out if it's a home for you, I'd love to chat. Again, you can head on over to amanda-walker.com/LETSCHAT. And I would love to chat more with you. And so again, you're not selling coaching, you're selling transformation. And transformation happens when the conscious mind, or rather the unconscious mind, gets on board with the conscious mind. And when you master this, your clients are going to get better results, and you're just going to feel like the expert, brilliant, amazing coach that I absolutely know you already are. So if this episode served you, then let me know. Come on over to Instagram at awalkmyway and tell me about it. And if you could screenshot it when you listen, share it in your stories, share it with another coach that you think would benefit, I would be so grateful. So until next time, go coach them up. And I hope you use the strategies that we talked about today.